the continuation rather, of what I started to do last week with our idea of, how to create change and how to create change in your life. And the reason why I chose that as a theme these last few weeks is because we have a really big transitional milestone coming up for us in the sky with Pluto. I'm the princess from planet Pluto, and Mars. And that's going to happen on November 3rd at exacts, but the energy is already building, and Pluto and Mars are going to be in opposition. And when we get an energy like that, it's great for transformation and for change. The universe is really supporting us right now with like a transformational key, is what I'm going to call it. It's an energy that brings up the shifts of Pluto, which is an energy that brings things up from our very depths. And if you've been feeling a lot of fear lately or anxiety, it could be this particular transit, because Pluto will bring up things that are uncomfortable for us, the things we fear. Pluto in evolutionary astrology is the soul, and it symbolizes the soul's desires in this lifetime. So when Pluto is opposing Mars, Mars is our action. It's what we want to do. It's who we want to become. So this is a really great energy for change. It's an energy where the universe can really support us to bring new, not only change into our life, but deep, deep change and revelations that bring things to the surface so that we can understand how to do things differently and how to sometimes heal things that have been patterns and places where we've been stuck for many, many years. So really, last week we talked about being introspective and going within and kind of being contemplative and reflecting on where it is in our life that we need to change. And that's the first thing that we need to do when we are looking to change our lives. I don't know if you guys can take me seriously in this hat, but it's hard for me to. Do you think I look serious in this hat, Bob, or should I take it off?
I know I like it. It's Halloween.
It's Halloween. So last week we talked about that reflection and really being honest with ourselves and finding out where the things are that we need to change. And the reason why I made that step one in our first week of this series is because of this particular transit coming up. Even though it doesn't exact until November 3rd, we really feel it building right now. And when Mars and Pluto are in opposition, it's the action that we want to take in our life becomes questioned for us. Pluto brings up things that we weren't thinking about, revelations, deep desires. It brings up deep fears because the soul's desire sometimes is battled by our ego and our personality. And sometimes we don't want to listen to our soul because living a soulful life is sometimes difficult because it means giving up our story, giving up the way things were in the past. So we're going to talk about that in depth a little more, but I just really want and would really like for everyone to understand that we really are in a transformational key right now. And this energy is going to stay with us for a little while, but it's also out in the collective. And that's going to be a volatile energy. It can be an energy of great tension. And some people in this energy are going to want to really release tension, especially because while we have this opposition with Pluto in the final degrees of Capricorn heading for Aquarius, Mars is retrograde and is going back into Leo. So that's an energy that is forceful. And it's been playing that dance a lot these last several weeks. Now it moves into Leo after being in Cancer for quite a while. When Mars is in Cancer, we are repressed. We don't want to be angry. We don't want to take action. We clamp ourselves down and we like to go within, or we'll, be like the crab and pull ourselves into the shell. When Mars goes into Leo, people begin to act out. We want to be the presenter. We want to, be seen, be validated. We want our emotions to be validated. We want to be important. We want to be seen and to be heard. And Mars is definitely an energy of that kind of feeling anyway. So Mars going into Leo is going to grow that feeling for a lot of us. And with Pluto bringing up what is deep within us and the fear of being who we really are and acting out and meeting our soul's desires, combining with this energy, I think we're going to have a really busy and volatile next several days, maybe even about 10 days to 2 weeks. This is happening right smack dab in the middle of the US elections. So fasten your seatbelts because if you think it's bumpy right now, you ain't seen nothing yet. I would not be surprised if some very unexpected things happen. I don't think we're going to have a winner on election day. I think this is a very unpredictable energy, and it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen. I've put some of my predictions on the Facebook page, and hey, if you guys want to read them, you can scroll down and read them. Hi, Laureen. How are you doing tonight? Hey, Joanne. How are you doing? I have my witch's hat on because I am the witch from planet Pluto tonight. Happy Halloween to everybody. So, talking a little bit about these transformational keys that we have with Mars and Pluto in this opposition, because of other things that are going on in the sky, this energy is like a once in a lifetime energy for us because of all the other energies that are really amplifying this. This is conflict. It's energy that brings conflict up from deep within us. This is like, the deep wounds that we've had for years are just going to come to the surface and want to be let out. And the reason for that is because conflict, we can resolve things in conflict. But this isn't just, something casual. These are very deep things that are going to be revealed in the next week. This is underlying patterns of defeat. It can be where you felt like you were held down in childhood or in other relationships. It can be where you felt you weren't seen, where you were ignored, where you perhaps felt neglected. And these things have been inside of you for a very long time and you never really dealt with them and you never really allowed them to come to the surface. Um, but you have the power to not repeat those things and not repeat those type of patterns and relationships and situations, and it could be a job that you're not held in high regard in or whatever it is. But these are things that you don't have to be held back by anymore. And Pluto's job, especially when it's in opposition to Mars like we have in this energy, is to reveal those things for us so that we can fix them, so that we can finally heal and we can finally understand the new way of being. And this is going to take place for us in many different places. It's going to take place for us in, I'm going to leave my hat right there. It's going to take place for us in our relationships because we still have the North and South node in Libra and Aries, which is the relationship axis. This is also going to take place for us in situations that maybe have gone on too long and we need to change them. It could even be things that are not even the same situation, but different relationships and different situations and different employment or different clubs, organization, friendships that turn out to be the same dynamic, the same people, the same type of abuse or neglect or things that make us feel defeated. This is all happening in very powerful ways right now so that we find new ways of being. This is about us no longer accepting what was and going into what is. Sometimes I feel like people don't understand the seriousness of these times that we're in. And what I will tell you is that you hear me talk about choice a lot. And I talk about choice so much and so often and the choices that we make in our life because I firmly believe through my own experience and also through studying and teachings that I've read, be it the Yoga Sutras or world religions or evolutionary astrology, that we all have a power of choice. And I've seen it even in my own practice through my career as a realtor and also in my career as an astrologer and doing private readings and coaching for people. I've seen the power of choice. And I've also seen the amount of people that never step into that power. And so one of the reasons why I started Zenkuda is because I want people to understand their power of choice, to choose their life and create things that you want. And the importance of that starts with that introspection and that reflection in the soul space and in your inner being. And that's why that was the first step to creating change in our life. And we're going to go on to the other steps tonight. But I just want to talk for 1 minute about the power of choice because you can never estimate that. It's my firm belief that everything in our life comes down to the power of choice. And but what I mean by that, and you hear me talk about choice a lot, is because I've learned that every choice we make creates more of us. And depending on what that choice is, it can create more of us in light or more of us in darkness. And that's because our choices determine our direction. And that introspective piece that's the beginning of change for all of us is so important right now when we have this deep, cathartic, transformational key of Pluto and the action and the drive of Mars, especially Mars in Leo. That's fire, that's the sun, that's our soul igniting things. So you've got the solar sun and our soul's desire coming together. And this can be combustible or it can be really, really big growth. So choices create our direction. We have a power of choice. We all have a power of choice. We have free will and we have a choice to choose our direction in life. It's a fundamental choice in life to look forward towards our future or look back towards our story. And that's where a lot of us diverge on the road to creating change. We get stuck in the story. We get stuck in looking backwards a lot. And that backwards, that back-looking story becomes our direction. Because remember, your thoughts become your life. So when the story becomes a direction instead of the future, then you get more of the same story. So one direction makes us feel unworthy, fearful, anxious, closed. And then one direction makes us feel worthy, constructive and productive, open, optimistic. So can you see how the choice forms the direction? So what are you choosing? Are you choosing your story? That's who you are. That's how you define yourself, what's been. Or are you choosing to look at the future and create a new story, a new way of being, open to more love towards the future? So a lot of people choose the past. They choose the story. And they're going to keep repeating that story. And why is that? Because not only is it scary, I mean, that's pretty obvious to move forward in a place of the unknown. It is frightening. But a lot of people are in the story and kind of stuck in that story because they're waiting for someone else to make it better. And that's the people that I see ignoring their power of choice. And we all have the power of choice, and that power of choice forms our direction in life. But we ignore it, and we allow that power to just kind of lay idle like a car waiting at the curb, like a taxi driver who sits at the curb all day until someone gets in and tells them where to go. Well, we're not taxi drivers. We're in charge of our life. We can create our direction. We do it through choice. We do it when we choose a future that breaks away from the story of the past. But if we're waiting for someone to make it better, instead of choosing to respond to our own needs, we're stuck in the story. We're stuck in the story. Because every day that that person doesn't come and make it better, we're unworthy. We're not good enough. We're scared. And that's the story. So when we choose the past, we're actually, sometimes we feel hurt because our soul's waiting for us to choose more. Our soul is waiting for us to choose our dreams and our future. We're stuck in a past that doesn't hold us in a high regard. There's a future waiting for us that does, but we're afraid to break away from the story. So we're frozen and we're stuck. And we continue to pursue a direction that's familiar, but it's dark and it's painful because it's a past that doesn't include us being powerful. So that's one choice. And I think most of you, myself included, are familiar with that direction. Maybe we've stayed in it too long and finally broken away. Maybe it's something you're still in. But I think most of us know what I'm talking about. And then there's the other direction, choosing the future. And just saying that feels different, right? Choosing the future, it feels like light. And when I say choosing the past, it feels like dark. So choosing the future, stepping out of the past, to choose ourselves, to choose our dreams, to imagine. Already our vibration feels higher. It takes a lot of courage. We need mentors that guide us. We need modalities that heal us, that give us the space for introspection in sacred space, in our soul space. We need quiet. We need to step out of the chaos in order to choose the future. It takes a lot of energy. That story of the past drains our energy. So if we can step out of that, then we go into a future and we start planning things, and you put one foot in front of the other. And all of a sudden, every time you make another forward momentum, you get a little more energized. And through that connection with our life force and creator, we find light and right direction and right action. And the funny thing about right action is once you start stepping into it, it pulls you along like a universal magnet. And all of a sudden your feet kind of know where to go. Because once you get a taste of feeling like, oh, this feels pretty good, this feels right, I think this is the way, then you want to go further in that way. And that's the power of choice. And we all have it, but we forget that and we get stuck in the story that makes us powerless and takes away that power of choice and makes us forget that we have a power of choice. And that's why you hear me talk about choice so often. And that's why every choice we make creates more of us. And it can create more of us in detriment, in deprivation, in fear, in unworthiness, or every choice can create confidence and abundance and openness to more love and more joy in our life. It's all a choice. And there's a powerful direction within each of us that once we start to choose the future, choose what hasn't been yet, to create it, there's a powerful direction in all of us that we create our future and change our story. So 2025 is fast approaching. And the cosmos are telling us to exercise our power of choice. Create change. Create the life you love. And what I'm going to ask you is the same question I asked you on last week's show. And that was, who are you becoming? What are you becoming? The same old story? Or are you creating a future where things change and life gets more abundant and elevated and upgraded? And there's more joy and more expansion of that joy into love. And you feel whole and you feel competent and safe and confident. What direction? What choice? Who are you becoming? The universe is supporting our healing and ability to create change in our lives right now. It's not easy. There's a whole contingent of people, and you're going to see it on the news this week, that are going to go into fear and create a lot of volatile energy, a lot of conflict, a lot of tension. But we have a choice not to do that and to use all of this energetic, dynamic propulsion is really what it is. It's a propulsion forward. We can use it to set up our lives. And I'm here to guide you in that change with practical advice that's in alignment with the cosmos and the astrology. So remember, who are you becoming? And go into that reflection. What is your story and what is your choice? Are you choosing the past story or are you choosing the future you can create? Because we all have the power of choice. It's just a matter of exercising it. So I want to go into a little bit of detail about this energy specifically. Um, So the way it's going to go down this week is we're building this energy up right now because Mars and Pluto opposition actually exacts on November 3rd, which isn't until Sunday, but we're feeling it now. And it's going to be like building and building. It's like almost like a turbine engine that just keeps getting faster and faster. So today we have Venus square Saturn. That's basically an energy of Venus, the things we love and the things that matter to us, squaring Saturn, which is a limitation. It's like we want it, we almost can get it, but not quite. There's a dynamic tension building up there. Tomorrow, Mercury opposes Uranus, which is our thoughts, our minds, opposing an energy of awakening. So it's like we know what we're supposed to do, kind of, sort of, but we can't quite clarify it yet. That clarity will come. Quiet introspection, walks in nature, turning off the devices. You know, I voted early so I could turn off everything and I don't need to listen to it now. Um, on the 1st, which is Friday, that's when things start to really ramp up. You have Mercury trining Neptune. Mercury trining Neptune on Friday is a day also when the new moon in Scorpio comes in. This is going to be a very, very powerful new moon. This is a new moon that requests all of the things that I was just talking about from us. Scorpio is going to bring it all up. But what happens when we have a Scorpio new moon is not only does it bring everything up like a regurgitation in order to have transformation and transcendence and do things differently, but it also, with Mars in Leo, is going to bring up a lot of anger for some people, and people will act out. So I would, stay out of the arguments, okay? Especially with Mercury involved, trining Neptune. This is going to be people like arguing and communicating things that just don't seem possible or plausible or true. And don't we have enough of that going on right now in the world? So I would stay out of a lot of communication if you can over the weekend and Friday, Saturday, Sunday coming. Because Mercury is really highlighted on the 2nd. It trines Mars, which is in opposition to Pluto, and then Mercury sextiles Pluto. I know that sounds like Chinese to some of you, but all I can tell you is our minds and our thought pattern is going to be like racing. And then Mercury enters Sagittarius, which looks at the big picture. So when Mercury is in Sag, it does change the energy quite a bit from when Mercury is in Scorpio, because when Mercury is in Sagittarius, we are more lighthearted, light thoughts, but we also want to speak more. We're chatty, we're social. Which in this energy can be good, but it can also be a little tough because we've got all of this, energy ramping up. So it'll be a very, very interesting weekend. That much I can absolutely guarantee you. And then on the 3rd is the day when the Mars opposite Pluto actually exacts. Venus also opposes Jupiter that day, and Venus trines Chiron. So this is a rock and roll. This is, I can't even really tell you. I mean, there are some astrologers that are like, we've never seen energy like this, and we haven't. This is like, nobody can explain what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of change. But here's the bottom line. The reason why the universe, God, whoever you call him, her, whoever, gave us this energy and gave you a soul that has been incarnated in a lifetime to experience this energy is absolutely for change. That's what this is all about. And I've been saying this now for months. At the end of 2024, we're in it now, guys. This is the reckoning, okay? I've been saying for months how when this time comes, nothing's going to be the same afterwards. In 2025, we have all the major planets changing signs. Never seen anything like that before in centuries. This is a flip over of the world order. This is a flip over of our own lives. So get ready. So fear is going to rise up. Okay, because whenever we have to make change or face things that we maybe didn't want to face, it's uncomfortable. All right. But I'm telling you, there's a liberation here if you can be brave enough, put on your little suits of armor and go to the places that scare you the worst. All right? Go to the places that you can actually reveal the darkness to be light. And then you're liberated. It's no more. There's no more fear there, right? Whether your fear is to be alone, or your fear is to branch out and do a new career, or have children, or say goodbye to someone, or say hello to someone, whatever it is, it's deeply rooted in the fact that you've been stuck because of it. These are fears that are keeping us stuck. Once we get liberated, we're not going to be held back by them anymore. And that's what this is all about. Even on the world stage, that's what this is all about. Because once we no longer have to question and realize things don't work, and that now we need to work on the new plan, the new way, once we get out of the moaning and the groaning and the griping about how things have changed so much and they don't work anymore, leave that aside. Now work on the new plan. That's really what all this energy is really doing for us. It's new ways of being and growing beyond what has held us back. Growing beyond what has held us back. So we will have a heightened sense of emotions in this energy. People will have sometimes very impulsive reactions in this energy. There's a tendency to find ourselves getting mixed up emotionally, enmeshed in, entangled in conflicts. This is absolutely an energy of fighting and arguments. And I don't want to be negative, because it can be that. You may even end up fighting with yourself. I don't want to do it. No, you have to do it. But at the end of the day, the reason why these things happen are to reveal what needs to be addressed. Bring it out in the open, shine the light on it, get it over with, done, great. Now we can all get along. Now we can all do what we have to do. I see the path. It's been the reckoning. I take it on the chin. I'm ready to go to the next level of my life, because now I understand what I really have to do different. Stay out of those entanglements with others. The best thing you can do is use this energy and this powerful time to rectify and resolve the conflicts within you, because Chiron in Aries is really there to help us heal wounds that for some have been generational. There is going to be a lot of energy between now and even a few days after next week, November 5th, Election Day, November 6th. There's a spark-like energy where you don't need much to ignite the spark, all right? Uh, triggers galore. When you get a trigger, when you are part of a trigger or you feel triggered, ask yourself, what is this? Where is it originating from? Why do I feel this way? What is the world showing me? What is the universe showing me? What is God showing me? What are the angels showing me? Whatever you believe in, why is this happening? Why it's happening to show me what? Where is it bringing me? Like I always say, there's treasure in the trigger, right? This is an energy that will bring up internal limitations, and it brings them up, like feelings of inadequacy, feeling of unworthiness. It brings that up so that you can understand where you have to strengthen yourself and where you have to work on your confidence, and where you feel inept and where you have to build your own competency. So Mars is, simply put, the energy of Mars is, this is what I am. This is me. I'm here. I'm here to take a stand, right? This is, where do I want to take up space? What am I? Remember, I asked in the beginning of the show, what am I becoming? Who am I becoming? That's the Mars piece. The North Node is in Aries, ruled by Mars. Mars is in Leo, fixed fire. Where are you? Who are you? What are you? I am here. I exist. I need to be validated. That is the Mars piece. So what in your life is not allowing that? What in your life is saying you don't matter? What in your life is saying you're not worth it? What in your life is invalidating you? That's the Mars piece. The Pluto is the things we push away. The Pluto piece is the avoidance, when it's difficult to deal with others, difficult to deal with things in ourselves. So, can you see how powerful these two energies are? And they're right across the zodiac from each other, like staring each other down. This is dynamic tension. Dynamic tension. It's an opposition between where are you currently, the fears that keep you stuck, and where do you want to be? Who are you really? And breaking those patterns to empower yourself. Power of choice. Am I my story? Am I my past? Or am I a beautiful soul that can now create my future? This is a really high vibe that you can use to manifest your life. This is a really low vibe that you can use to go into conflict. Power of choice. Power of choice. Either way, this energy is about transformation. It's about the tension between where I'm at and what I want to do. And some people will be immature in this energy. You know, this is an energy where people will leave, storm out, slam the door. I'm done with you. Because where am I at versus what I want to do? And some people aren't strong enough to, in a healthy way, assert themselves. So they have to get anger. Did you ever get in an argument with somebody that thinks that they're going to win the argument if they can scream louder and overtalk you and override you and slam drawers and doors louder? That's this kind of energy in the negative and the low octave. In the higher octave, you can use this energy and the power of it, the spontaneity of it, to reveal what is hidden and what keeps you stuck and move yourself away from it. It's not easy, especially out there in the world, because this energy is very irritating. It's annoying. It's like, two pieces of sandpaper going together, Mars and Pluto. So the intensity is best resolved in your internal landscape. If you look for someone else to make it better, it's probably not going to go so good because they're going through the same thing. It's everyone. So go into the internal landscape, especially with a new moon in Scorpio. It's going to be very watery and deep and want to take you into the depths of yourself. Don't go in the depths and stay hidden. Go in the depths and bring out the treasure. And, I always say, I have a few memes on my social media. I always say that there's never only darkness. There's always light. And even if you do a meditation and you plunge yourself into the dark in order to go into the deep recesses of the abyss of the soul, right? There's light there. You will see light. You'll find light. And in that choice to see the light comes your enlightenment and your future and your direction. So make sure that you have enough space in your life to make the change, to hold and regulate the changes that are coming. If you're living in chaos and you have never a moment to yourself, even if you want to create change in your life, you'll never be able to do it because in order to create change, you need space, literally and figuratively, in order to regulate the change, the challenges that come up. Whatever's going on outside of your space is your reality. If you're bringing that inside and it's chaotic and tense and negative and mean, then that's what you become inside. So remember when I said this is a great time to use the energy to resolve things in your internal landscape. So in order to create change, you need space to do that. And it has to be a space where your true soul and your true light comes in and lights that space within you. Because if you never have any time for yourself, then that space gets smaller and smaller and smaller within you. And the soul space becomes non-existent. You're squashed, you're repressed, you're in fear all the time. because you're living a life that is not holding you in any regard. You're not even included in your own life. So, November 1st, this energy really ramps up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're feeling it now. It's exact on the 3rd, which is Sunday. And you're going to want to do something because in an energy like this, Mars like makes us want to do something. We can feel very restless. But you don't know exactly what it is or why because you have fear. So this transit is going to sometimes make us feel separated and in that fear and like questioning that. But if we can go into that introspection and have a little bit of comfort in knowing that the universe has us fully supported, nothing is really going to harm us, we're in control of our life, we have the power of choice, then we can step out of that fear and into our future. So here's some prompts for you this week. When you're in that quiet contemplation, whether it's playing with your dog or walking on the beach or just, whatever, take space. You need space in order to create the change. So where am I stuck? Where can I grow past this? Am I clinging to a story that was my past and now that's making more of me? More invalid, more stuck, more unworthy? Or can I create space for healing, to feel myself, my power of choice, and more go into the future? How can I create a stronger version of myself? How can I create a stronger version of myself? Big question, right? And when you really allow yourself the space to answer that, you're going to find it's really not that hard. There are things that you can do to create a stronger version of yourself. Like today, I chose to wear this hat for Halloween because it made me laugh and brought more joy into my life. In the beginning of the show, we kind of kicked it a little bit and it was fun. So allow that. Power of choice. Create more joy. Create more love. And then allow that into your life, that contemplation, that introspection about your fear. Don't be afraid of it. When you're in your space, your soul space, that beautiful space you're creating in order to create change, ask yourself about your fear. Visit with your fear. Say, hey, fear, what the heck are you doing here? What are you about? When did you originate? Where did you come from? And then ask yourself, what type of choices did you make from that fear? What type of choices did that fear make you make? That fear compelled you to make. And then break free from it. Break free from that pattern. And then once you do that, that's the second step, right? This is the second series, second show in our series. We have 8 more to go. Once you break free, because once you unwind it and unpack that fear that's keeping you stuck, you're going to be surprised, but it's not going to be so powerful anymore. You're going to be more powerful. And then that power of choice comes through, and the next thing you know, you're creating your life. Liberated. Completely liberated. And that's the power of choice. So I am going to be back next week. And before I go, I'm just going to, not a lot of comments today that I see. Whoops, sorry. I don't really see too many comments, just saying hi to everybody. Not a lot of people on, so share the show if you think this is something that people can relate to, something important for people. I'm just going to pick a card before we go for the collective. Shuffle, shuffle. That new moon in Scorpio Friday is going to be really powerful, guys. Make sure you set an intention of how you want to be liberated from your fear. Create some new life. Okay, they're telling me to pick the top card tonight. The Hermit card. Beautiful. So the Hermit is not just someone who hides away. The Hermit card in Tarot you can't make this stuff up. The Hermit card in Tarot is very symbolic of As you can see, he has the light. He's shining a light up. The Hermit card is the card for introspection, quiet repose, going into your contemplation and reflection on your life. And I picked the Hermit card after tonight's show. That was pretty awesome. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Soul Space podcast. I'll be back next Monday at 7 o'clock, and we'll talk a little more about creating our life and get into the real nitty gritty and give you guys some practical things that you can do to really find out what your direction is and start creating, because we want 2025 to be the best year ever. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next Monday night at 7 p.m. right here in the Soul Space. I am Georgia Rose, a psychic astrologer. And if you'd like a reading, you can go on my website, zenkuda.com, and also YouTube, Zenkuda, where I have over 200 videos. And don't forget, Facebook, Zenkuda Soul Space, and on Instagram, Zenkuda Official. Love you guys. See you next week.